If lately you've been feeling your body strange, heavy, tired, without explanation, this video is for you. Extreme exhaustion, sudden pains, dizziness out of nowhere. Have you noticed how these sensations just appear and then disappear? Many people believe this is just fatigue, stress, or some health issue. But what I'm going to reveal now could completely change the way you see these changes. If you're going through this, your body is giving you a signal that few people in the world can perceive. And do you know what makes this even scarier? Most people ignore these symptoms. They carry on, thinking it's just a result of the hectic daily routine. But those who are awakening feel this in a much more intense way. Have you ever tried to explain this fatigue to someone and received a blank stare, as if they were saying, "It's all in your head"? But inside you, something tells you it's not just that there's something much bigger happening. And the truth is, there is. Today, you'll discover the 5 physical symptoms that indicate your energy is changing. And the last one on the list is the most concerning. If you've already experienced it, it means your body is reacting to a deep and irreversible transformation. Stay until the end, because this information could completely change the way you feel and deal with these changes. Spiritual awakening doesn't just happen in the mind. Your whole body needs to readjust to this new frequency, and this generates real changes. Your nervous system, your muscles, your circulation, everything begins to operate differently. But since the human body was not taught to deal with these energetic transitions, it responds in the only way it knows, with physical symptoms. And that's why for many this phase can seem confusing, even frightening. Suddenly you feel an inexplicable exhaustion. Your head feels heavy, your vision darkens for a few seconds, your body becomes more sensitive. You try to follow your routine, but something feels different. And do you know what makes this even more intense? The clash between the old and the new. Your body is trying to sustain an energy that is completely different from what it was used to. It's like a system that was updated, but is still running an old program. This transition can cause overload, resulting in pains, dizziness, and even changes in sleep. If you've been feeling unexplained fatigue, strange pains, or even dizziness out of nowhere, this is not a coincidence. It means your energy is changing, and your body is trying to keep up with this process. Now let's go over the 5 most common physical signs of this awakening. And the last one may be completely changing the way you perceive reality. You sleep, but wake up more tired than when you went to bed. Your body feels heavy, as if it's carrying something invisible. You try to recover, but nothing seems to work. And the worst part, no one understands what you're feeling. Oh, it's just fatigue. Maybe it's stress. But deep down, you know it's not just that. Because no matter how much you try to relax, the fatigue is still there. What no one has told you is that this fatigue doesn't come from the physical, but from the energy that is being transformed inside you. Your body is processing something much bigger than just exhaustion. Think about the last time you updated a phone or a computer. At first, it gets slow, overloaded, needs time to process the changes before working perfectly. Now, imagine that happening to you. Your entire system is being reconfigured to support a new frequency, and that requires a huge effort. While you sleep, your body isn't just resting, it's working, releasing blockages, adjusting its energy, absorbing new information coming from the awakening. And that's why, when you wake up, you feel as if you've run a marathon during the night. Your muscles are more tense, your brain feels overloaded, your energy simply disappears. But there's something even deeper in all of this. Along with this exhaustion, you might notice changes in your sleep pattern. Waking up in the middle of the night for no apparent reason, having intense and vivid dreams, feeling a strange restlessness before going to sleep. This happens because during the night, your mind and body are synchronizing new information, accessing memories, and unlocking layers that were dormant. And this process doesn't happen lightly. It requires energy, adaptation, and resistance. The mistake many people make is trying to combat this fatigue in the wrong way. They turn to coffee, stimulants, try to force their body to keep up with the rhythm of before. But that only makes everything worse. Because this is not ordinary fatigue. It's energetic fatigue, and the only way to relieve this is by allowing the body to do what it needs to do. Reducing sensory overload, respecting moments of pause, connecting with nature, drinking more water. Small adjustments that help the body adapt without collapsing. But the truth is, few people talk about this, because most still don't understand what's really happening. Now tell me, have you ever felt this? Out of nowhere, your body starts to hurt, a strange tension in your shoulders, pressure at the back of your neck, inexplicable sharp pains in your back, arms, legs. Sometimes it's as if an invisible weight is pulling you down. You stretch, try to change position, but the feeling remains. If you've experienced this, you know how uncomfortable it is. Many people think these pains come from stress, posture, or something physical, but this feeling of a heavy body, of muscles tense for no apparent reason, has a much deeper origin. Your body is being recalibrated. What you're feeling isn't just ordinary muscle pain, it's an energetic adjustment happening inside you. Your vibrational field is changing, expanding, and your muscles are reacting to this new frequency. It's as if your structure is being forced to hold a much larger amount of energy than before, and this process is intense. Have you noticed how these pains arise mainly during moments of introspection, after a period of deep reflection, or when you begin to question your life in a deeper way? This happens because when your consciousness expands, your body needs to keep up with this transformation. It's a realignment, an adaptation, and this adaptation can be felt physically. Some people describe this sensation as if they were carrying something on their shoulders, as if a force were pressing the body down. Others feel it as a deep tingling, or even small involuntary muscle contractions. This pressure can be more intense in the back, shoulders, and head, points where we store much of our emotional burdens. The more your energy expands, the more your body needs to release what no longer serves you. And this process is not always comfortable. What few people know is that this physical tension doesn't come from outside, but from within. Your own energetic system is trying to balance itself, releasing blockages that have accumulated over the years. And here's the most important detail. This pain is a signal that your body is trying to adjust to a new frequency. But if you resist, if you try to ignore it and continue at the same pace, the tension increases. Your body is not punishing you. It's showing you the way. Now, tell me, have you ever felt that inexplicable weight? You're standing, doing something ordinary in your
day-to-day life, and suddenly the world seems to spin.
A dizziness arises out of nowhere, a strange feeling of instability, as if the ground were gently moving beneath your feet. Maybe it's brief, a moment of disorientation. Maybe it lasts longer, leaving you with the feeling of being disconnected from reality for a few seconds. If this has happened to you, know this: it's not a coincidence. Many try to explain this as fatigue, low blood pressure, or lack of sugar in the blood. And yes, there may be a physical influence. But what about when these dizziness episodes happen repeatedly, without explanation, at random times? This is not just a simple physical symptom. It's a clear sign that your energy is changing. Your vibrational field is expanding. Your perception of reality is adjusting to something greater. Your body is trying to align with a new frequency, but this doesn't always happen smoothly. Think about when you stand up too quickly and feel that brief dizziness. Now imagine that this is happening because your consciousness is expanding. Rapidly, your body is used to operating within a specific frequency. But as you awaken, this frequency changes, and the body feels this change. You might notice that these dizziness episodes happen especially when you're reflecting on something deep, when you spend time in nature, or when you're alone, more introspective. These are moments when your mind is more open and your energy responds to that. Another thing many people notice is a slight sensation of floating, as if the body were less dense, lighter than usual. This happens because your energetic field is expanding beyond what you were used to. And it's not just that. Some people report feeling a light pressure on their head, especially in the forehead and the top of the skull. This is because this expansion also affects your senses, your inner balance, And here's an important detail. If you've been feeling this, it means your perception of reality is changing. Your body is trying to adjust to something much greater. But the question is, are you listening to what it's trying to tell you? Suddenly, a strange sensation takes over you. Your hands begin to tingle. Your feet feel numb. Perhaps a light electric current passes through your face, your arms, your neck. And the question that comes to mind is always the same. What is happening to me? You move your hands, shift your feet, try to change position, but the sensation remains. It doesn't hurt, but it's intense. Most people don't pay attention to this. They think they've been in the same position for too long, or that it's just a circulation issue. But when this sensation happens repeatedly, always in the same places, and without any apparent reason, it means something much bigger. What you're feeling is energy in motion. Your nervous system is reacting to the changes taking place inside you. Your energy field is being activated in a new way, and that generates physical sensations. It's as if your body is awakening dormant parts, expanding your perception beyond what you were used to. And here's something interesting. Have you noticed that this happens mostly in your hands, feet, the top of your head, or your spine? That's because these are points of energetic connection, areas of the body where energy enters and exits with more intensity. Hands, for instance, are natural portals for energy transmission. If they tingle, it could mean your spiritual abilities are expanding, increasing your sensitivity to the environment and the people around you. Feet are also points of anchoring. If you feel numbness there, it could be a sign that your energy is trying to balance between the physical and spiritual planes. Now, that tingling sensation on your head, especially on your forehead or the top of your skull, it might be related to the expansion of your perception, to the activation of your intuitive field. These sensations aren't a mistake. They're clear signs that your body is awakening to something much bigger. Now tell me, have you ever felt this? Something has changed. Sounds that once went unnoticed now seem too loud. Ordinary lights bother your eyes. Noisy places become unbearable. You feel your body reacting as if it wants to protect itself from something invisible. And then the doubt arises. Why is this happening to me? Many people believe it's just stress or fatigue. But if this has started happening more frequently, intensely, it has a much deeper meaning. What no one has told you is that your sensory system is changing. Your senses are sharpening because your energy is expanding. Your body is picking up information that was previously filtered by your old level of consciousness. If you feel that sounds seem louder than usual, that voices, noises, and even music create an odd discomfort, it's not in your head. Your hearing is more sensitive because your vibration is higher. You are picking up frequencies that used to go unnoticed. The same happens with your vision. You might notice that light seems more intense, that very bright environments bother your eyes. This happens because your perception is shifting. Your body is absorbing more energy, and with that, your sensitivity increases. This can be uncomfortable at first. Crowds may feel suffocating. Very bright places might cause fatigue. Repetitive sounds can be irritating. Everything becomes more intense. But this sensitivity is not a weakness. It's a sign that your consciousness is expanding. Your body is adjusting its senses to perceive reality on a deeper level. If this is happening to you, don't ignore it. It means you are accessing a higher level of perception. Now tell me, how many times have you felt this and not been able to explain it? Now that you understand what's happening, think, how many of these symptoms have you felt without knowing? Why? How many times has your body tried to warn you and you simply ignored it, thinking it was just another difficult day? But now you know it wasn't just fatigue, it wasn't just stress. It was your own system adjusting to something much greater. Spiritual awakening can be intense, but you don't have to suffer through the process. Your body is asking for support, and the more you respect these changes, the smoother this transition becomes. Small practices can help balance this energy, walking barefoot to connect with the earth, avoiding overwhelming environments, prioritizing moments of silence and introspection. Your body is recalibrating, and giving it the necessary space makes all the difference. The mistake many people make is fighting against these symptoms, thinking something is wrong, that they need to go back to normal. But what you're feeling isn't a problem, it's an evolution. Your system is transitioning from an old state to operate in a completely different frequency. And if you resist, this transition becomes even more draining. Instead of seeing these symptoms as something negative, perceive them for what they truly are. Signs that you're changing, growing, awakening. Your body is guiding you, and now you have the knowledge to understand what's happening. The question is, will you listen to the signs or keep ignoring them? Today, you discovered that exhaustion, pain, dizziness, and hypersensitivity are not just reactions of your body. They are clear signs that your energy is changing, that you're going through a profound transformation. And the truth is, this doesn't happen to everyone. Only those who are awakening feel it in such an intense way. But now comes the most important question. What will you do with this knowledge? You can ignore these signs and keep trying to fit into a routine that no longer makes sense to you. Or you can accept this change, understand that your body is evolving, and learn to navigate this awakening more consciously. The choice is yours. But one thing is certain, you are no longer the same as before. If these words resonated with you, I want you to write here in the comments, I recognize the signs of my awakening. This is not just a comment, it's a commitment to yourself. It's a way of telling the universe that you're ready for this new phase, that you understand what's happening, and that you won't ignore the signs anymore. Thank you for your valuable attention, and for being here seeking answers that few people have the courage to look for. Now, to continue this journey and dive even deeper into your knowledge of spiritual awakening, click the video appearing on the screen. There you'll understand even more about this process and how to deal with it in a balanced way. See you there. You walk into a mall, a supermarket, or an event full of people, and suddenly you feel an overwhelming exhaustion. The noise seems louder than it should. The air feels heavy. Your patience disappears. You just want to leave. Or maybe you've noticed that over time your tolerance for crowds has simply evaporated. Places that once felt normal now leave you irritated, drained, or disconnected. If this happens to you, know that it's not just a phase. It's not drama, and certainly not shyness. What you're feeling is a clear sign that your vibration is changing, and the more your consciousness awakens, the harder it becomes to be surrounded by certain energies. Because crowds aren't just a bunch of people gathered together, they are a mixture of emotions influencing you without you even realizing it. Fear, anxiety, anger, frustration, all of these circulate in these environments. And if your frequency is rising, your body can no longer ignore these vibrations. Before, you fit in. Now it seems like your body rejects it. You feel the need to leave as quickly as possible, as if your mind is screaming, "This doesn't resonate with me anymore." And guess what? It's right. You're not becoming antisocial, fragile, or weird. You're evolving, and this change comes with symptoms that not everyone understands. But today, I'm here to help you understand, because when you discover the real reason behind this rejection of crowds, everything starts to make sense. And most importantly, you'll learn to deal with it without having to isolate yourself from the world. If you felt a natural rejection of certain environments, this is not a coincidence. When your consciousness awakens, your energy expands. Your perception becomes more sensitive. This means you begin to pick up frequencies that you didn't notice before, and that completely changes the way your body reacts to places and people. The truth is, crowds aren't just a mass of people, they are a mass of energies. And when many people gather without being conscious of it, the environment becomes charged with emotions like fear, anxiety, frustration, and stress. If you're transitioning to the 5D frequency, your body can no longer ignore these vibrations. Before, you might have felt a discomfort but pushed through. Now, it seems impossible not to notice. The noise from conversations isn't just sound. It's a flood of emotional information invading your energy field. Artificial lights seem more aggressive. Smells become overpowering. The simple act of walking through so many people might feel like a sensory attack. But this isn't a problem. This is a sign that you're moving out of the dense and accelerated frequency of the 3D world and into a higher vibration, where everything is more subtle, lighter, and at the same time more intense. Your body isn't punishing you, it's protecting you. And the more you resist this change, the more intense the symptoms will become. That's why, instead of fighting against this new sensitivity, you need to learn to recognize the signals your awakening is sending you. Now I'll show you the main symptoms of this energetic incompatibility and how to identify if you are truly going through this transition. You leave home feeling fine, full of energy, but after just a few hours in a mall, supermarket, or crowded event, it's as if someone has drained everything from you. Your body feels heavy, your mind becomes foggy, and the only thought left is an overwhelming desire for silence and solitude. This isn't regular fatigue. It's not laziness. It's not being used to the hustle and bustle. It's your energy field absorbing everything around you, emotions, thoughts, vibrations that aren't even yours. Think about how many people circulate in these places, each with their own worries, frustrations, and anxieties. Most of them don't even realize the energy they carry, but you do. You feel it. Your body reacts because it can no longer coexist with this load as it used to. This exhaustion doesn't come just from physical contact with people. It comes from the invisible weight of being surrounded by vibrations that don't align with your new frequency. And the most dangerous part? Often, you don't even realize it while you're there. It's only when you get home that you feel your energy drained. It's as if you've carried an invisible burden all day, and now it's collapsing on you. Your mind starts to falter, your mood drops, the desire to do anything disappears. All you want to do is disconnect, close your eyes, and recover your strength. But depending on the intensity of the environment, it can take hours or even days to feel whole again. This happens because as your energy rises, you become a magnet for these vibrations. Your sensitivity is heightened. Your body is rejecting what it used to tolerate. If you've ever felt this, stop and think. How many times have you entered these environments feeling fine and left dragging yourself? If this has become a pattern, your energy field is sending you a clear warning. Now you have two options. Learn to protect yourself or continue feeling this drain every time you have to face a crowd. And no, the solution is not simply avoiding these places forever. But it is essential to recognize the signs before this exhaustion becomes something that paralyzes you. Because what follows this symptom can affect your perception of reality in an even more intense way. Before, you could interact normally. You could spend hours listening to someone complain about work, gossip, or discuss trivial matters without being too bothered. But now, something has changed. You try, but you can't pretend to care anymore. Your patience vanishes in seconds. It's as if certain conversations cause you physical discomfort, an irritation you can't explain. And do you know why? Because your consciousness is expanding. When your energy rises, your mind begins to seek more depth, more truth. You feel there are much more important things to focus on. But as you grow, you realize that many people around you remain stuck in automatic mode, talking about the same things, repeating patterns, living on autopilot without questioning anything, and that bothers you because your vibration no longer fits this kind of interaction. It's like trying to tune a radio station to a different frequency. The signal just doesn't come through properly. All you hear is static, and the worst part, the more you force these interactions, the more disconnected you feel. You find yourself there, physically present, but your mind has long since left. The problem isn't that the conversation is light or casual. The problem is when everything revolves around complaints, judgments, and purposeless trivialities. Because your energy no longer tolerates that kind of vibration. And it's not arrogance. It's not that you think you're better than others. It's that your soul is hungry for something greater. You feel an inner calling to explore deeper things, understand mysteries, expand your consciousness. And anything that doesn't take you in that direction starts to feel like a waste of time and energy. If before you participated out of politeness, now your body rejects it. The weight of these interactions becomes obvious. You leave these conversations feeling like you've wasted precious time, and worse, like your energy was drained in the process, and this can go beyond conversations. It can happen with movies, music, online content. Suddenly, certain things you used to consume without a problem now make you uncomfortable, and there's no going back, because once your vibration rises, you can no longer force yourself to fit into a world that no longer resonates with who you are becoming. And this, while bringing clarity, may also make you begin to question your connection with certain people around you. You enter a crowded place and suddenly feel a strange pressure on your head, as if something were tightening inside. Sometimes it feels like a weight on your forehead. Other times, it's a tension in the back of your neck. It might even evolve into a headache that seems to appear out of nowhere. If this happens to you, know it's no coincidence. This is your energy field trying to process an overwhelming amount of vibrational information at once. When your consciousness awakens, your subtle system, especially your third eye, starts picking up much more from the environment around you. Before, you passed through these places without noticing anything beyond what was visible. Now, you feel everything. The unspoken emotions of people, the tension hanging in the air, the frantic energy of an overloaded environment. And all of this overloads your system. Your third eye, which is responsible for energetic perception, works like an antenna. When exposed to dense and chaotic vibrations, it receives a shock of information. And the result? Headaches, dizziness, ringing in the ears. A sense that your mind is overloaded, as if it's receiving a flow of data that it can't process quickly enough. This explains why you can walk into a mall or supermarket and in just a few minutes feel like you need to leave. It's not claustrophobia, it's not stress, it's your energy field entering into full alert, and the higher your vibration, the stronger this reaction becomes, because your body no longer wants to coexist with the energetic chaos without filtering what enters. If you've been feeling this frequently, your awakening is progressing fast, and maybe you've already started to notice that it's not just the places that have this impact. Some people also seem to weigh heavily on your energy in a way that's hard to ignore. No arguments, no discussions, no major events. But suddenly, some people who were once part of your life start to cause a discomfort that's hard to explain. Their conversations no longer interest you. Their presence seems to drain you. The time spent with them leaves a weight on your chest. And no matter how much you try to ignore it, your body rejects it. The connection that once existed seems to have dissolved. What used to flow naturally now feels forced, exhausting, uncomfortable, and this makes you feel guilty. You try to convince yourself that you're being dramatic, that you need to insist, continue staying in touch, force that coffee, that call, that conversation, but something inside you resists, because the truth is simple. Your frequency has changed, and when your vibration rises, not everyone around you will follow that change. Not because these people are bad, not because you're better than them, but because everyone is in a different stage of their journey, and while you're awakening to new perceptions, seeking growth, connecting with new energy, some people remain stuck in the same patterns, the same dramas, the same limited worldview. Before, you didn't notice this. Now your body feels it. And that feeling of exhaustion when you're with certain people is a clear sign that the connection no longer serves you. But here's the hardest part: accepting this change without guilt. Because your instinct wants to cling to what's familiar, trying to fit that friendship, that relationship, into the new version of yourself. But some connections aren't meant to last forever. They come, serve a purpose, and when the energy no longer resonates, life takes care of pulling them apart. The problem is, we often insist. We hold on to ties that no longer make sense, out of fear of seeming cold, selfish, or ungrateful. But the reality is that holding on to something that's already lost its resonance only delays your process. And if you've been feeling the need for distance, it doesn't mean you have to cut these people off abruptly. It simply means it's time to respect the space that your energy needs. Because the more you force yourself to be where your soul no longer wants to be, the heavier the journey becomes. And this resistance can even start affecting how you absorb the world around you. Before, You could watch the news without a problem. You'd watch violent movies and feel nothing but entertainment. You'd listen to someone complaining about life and take it in stride. Now, you can't. A tragic scene gives you a tight feeling in your chest. A comment filled with hate weighs on your soul. You hear someone talking about problems, and before you know it, you're absorbing that energy as if it were your own. And the worst part, it's not something you choose to feel. It's your body reacting. Because the more your consciousness awakens, the more sensitive you become to the energies around you. And news, content filled with fear, gossip, toxic discussions, all of that vibrates at low frequencies. If before you absorbed this information without impact, now it hits you hard. Your system no longer wants to process so much weight. Your energy won't accept carrying vibrations that don't contribute to your expansion. This doesn't mean you should ignore what's happening in the world, but it means your body is asking for a new filter, because the way you consume information needs to change to align with your new vibration. Your awakening is teaching you that you can't keep feeding your mind with fear, hate, and pessimism without feeling the effects on your energy field. And the more you force this exposure, the more exhausted, anxious, and overwhelmed you feel. If this symptom has been constant, your vibration can no longer handle content that poisons your energy. And now, it's your choice to decide what is worth letting into your field and what you need to start filtering. If you've noticed that these symptoms are part of your life, it means your energy is transforming on a deep level. And this isn't something you can simply ignore or turn off. Your body, mind, and vibration no longer function as they once did. But that doesn't mean you need to isolate yourself from the world or live avoiding people and places. What you need is to learn how to navigate this new phase without overloading yourself.